Alright, fam. So, recently there was a move, and basically what happened was Steelback was moved from the starting AD carry position to sub on Fnatic in the European LCS. And so I kind of want to take some time and talk about um, how that affects the scene and what that does for Fnatic and the potential that it might unlock for them or the problems that it might cause. And so I guess we should take a look at who they re-added, which is Rekkles. They brought Rekkles back from the past. And so there are a couple of things, I guess, to think about here. The first are the varying playstyles between the two AD carries. Rekkles is very split push oriented, very wave clear oriented, very team oriented. Or not very team oriented. He's very solo play, like out on his own. He's kind of like a superstar AD carry, like Meteos would be in the jungle, or Bjergsen would be in mid. He's like a star in his role. And so, basically what that means is that he's a carry, right? He wants to play the carry, he wants to be the carry. If you look at his track record, he plays lots and lots of high damage burst champions rather than like really poke. Like we don't really see Rekkles play like a lot of like Corki or anything like that. He plays like Lucian and just some kind of crazier picks or Graves, like just get in their face and try and eat them alive. And so what that means is that Fnatic's playstyle is going to change a little bit. I think they're going to try and move less away from poke comps and more toward burst comps. So I don't think that we'll be seeing Febiven play Cassiopeia. Or I don't know that we'll see either Huni or Febiven play Cassiopeia. I don't know that we'll see Cassiopeia being played at all because it doesn't really fit in with that comp, really. We might move Febiven back toward Kassadin. We're definitely not going to see him play Xerath again, unless Rekkles' playstyle has somehow changed. The second thing is, I guess, Steelback's playstyle. Steelback is very team oriented. He's somewhat of a leaker laning phase than Rekkles, but always manages to stay even. If I were to put him on par, I would say that he kind of matches up with Unicorn's bottom lane. Like, they're probably about on the same level. Not super stardom, but yeah, Vardags. He and Vardags are very similar in playstyle and very similar in champion pools. They play a lot of the same champions. And so that kind of basically we're gonna see the gold distribution change a little bit on Fnatic. So what's gonna happen is I think that they're gonna move a lot more of the gold off of Huni and try and focus it on the bottom lane. Now I'm not really sure why they would want to do something like this, because in this meta we're very, very top lane focused, very, very top lane oriented. It was like someone was talking about in Doubles, I think it was Doubles interview. No, it was Link. That's what they were talking about. Link, where he was saying, if you get an AD carry fed, and then he's in the mid game, the top laner like a fed Rumble is going to do a lot more for your team than like a fed Vayne or a fed Varus or a fed anything else, a fed Caitlyn. And so that move is like somewhat confusing on its own unless they're trying to run complete split push comps, like 1-4s and 1-3-1s and 2-3s and things like that, where they make them fight in individual levels or try and get picks. Maybe they're going to run pick comps. That's a possibility. But I'm not really sure where Fnatic wants to go with this kind of move. The other thing to consider is the track record of and the attitudes of the two. Now, as far as I know, Steelback's a perfectly likable guy. Seems really passive. I think that maybe management might have been upset with his nerves. They had talked about his nerves being an issue in the past. And so that might be an issue for them, as they just don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with like his kind of rookiness and things like that. Pierre versus Martin on a personal level. Pierre always seemed really likable. It didn't look like they had any problems together. Of course, EU's not like NA. They don't call each other out publicly on things like that. They don't say that when there are problems. The only people that really do that, I guess, have been like Froggen and EG and some of those guys, but maybe Dexter or someone like that. But I've never seen anyone do that in EU besides that. So maybe it was a personality conflict. Maybe Pierre didn't want to win as bad as some of the other guys did. Maybe he was just much too nonchalant about it. Martin certainly is. I think one of the bigger problems is that Rekkles, Martin Rekkles, I don't even know his last name, but I think his ego might be somewhat of an issue, because he's very focused on the 1v1, because he's very focused on the split push, because he's very focused on picking the fights and things like that, because he thinks he can always win. He wants to be the big playmaker and things like that. I'm not sure how he's going to mesh with this team. He could pick bad fights and constantly be putting Fnatic in bad situations. That's kind of a worst case scenario, is that he just comes in and is just completely, doesn't fit with the team dynamic that they have. He goes in and he's just constantly trying to 1v1 people and losing out or attacking with no vision and things like that, which is things that we saw him do when he was on Elements. These kind of things aren't completely out of the question as far as his behavior, at least concerning the past. I think another thing to consider is how he behaves in the outside environment. He's really an emotional person. He's a very emotional player. His emotions can get the best of him. They can change his gameplay, as we've seen in the past. He can tilt pretty easily. So I'm not sure if that's something that they've cleaned up or something that they've considered or talked about. Maybe he's more professional than Pierre. We're really obviously not going to know all of the specifics. But maybe he is more of a likable guy on a personal level, and that's why they decided to go with Steelback. I guess the last thing to consider is the past with Steelback. Steelback is a very likable guy, at least in my personal opinion, but I think that he's kind of earned his spot. Barring some major catastrophe, barring some major fight or something like that, it's somewhat confusing of a move, because Steelback, I mean, they won, right? They won EULCS, and though they didn't beat SKT, they took a significant amount of games off of them. The most that any Western team has ever taken off of SKT. They took more games off of them than any Western team has ever taken off of SKT. And that's surprising. And in fact, I think that might be the most games that, yeah, it is the most games that a Western team has taken off of a Korean team. That's never happened before, the way that Fnatic's played. It's a little bit unfair that they would just completely pull him like that, because they lost one game. I don't think that it was his fault at all. If we go back and review, I think that, you know, there are multiple things that went into that we have to take into account. The vision, Reinover's positioning in specific wasn't always the best. He got picked on more than one occasion. I think Huni even got picked a couple times. Fabaven, same thing. Like, they just didn't play well as a team in those couple games that they lost. So I wouldn't say that it was necessarily Steelback's fault. And I don't know. It's a difficult situation to think about, right? Like, Rekkles is a superstar. And he's maybe they want to open up for Yellowstar to roam more. Another bot lane was just talking about this. That's right, Double Lift and Afromu. We're just saying, like, okay, well, a lot of people feel like Double Lift holds Afromu back from roaming, because roaming on supports is very important right now. And so, but Double Lift doesn't feel that, of course, that he holds Afromu back from roaming. He's like, go roam. But Rekkles can kind of hold his own in lane. He can take care of himself. He understands his positioning very well. And so maybe they want to open Yellowstar up to roam more. Because, I mean, we did see Yellowstar roam with Steelback. And sometimes, I think, if I remember correctly, Steelback could get killed. Other times he wouldn't, but he might not have taken an advantage where he should have taken an advantage, or farmed as well as he could have farmed, and I think that is something that they might look for in Rekkles. Excuse me. But I think that maybe they're looking for more independent playstyles, just like people who own their role, people who can completely, are unequivocally one of the best in their role. And I think that that's something that Steelback would have grown into if they had given him time, because no one's going to become the best of the best in one split. It just doesn't happen, especially considering Steelback's past. Steelback doesn't come from one of the best teams. He doesn't come from a team where they dominated heavily. He was just kind of picked up and just given a chance to shine, and he really did. I wouldn't say he's like a world-class AD carry, but he's certainly one of the best in his region. I wouldn't say that he's like the best or the most solid. Like, he's not gonna 1v1 people or go crazy or anything like that. He's not Freeze. He's not gonna play Draven and do something crazy, Which, by the way, yes, I hold Freeze in very high regard. I think that Freeze plays very well considering his position and his team. But I digress, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, so I guess, what do you guys think? Do you think that, Steelback deserves that chance? Do you think that, they should stick with superstardom and go with Rekkles? Hold the best players in the world in their positions? I mean, there's a lot of questions to ask, But yeah, I mean, I guess the only way that we're really going to know is by taking a look and seeing what happens in the first couple weeks of the summer split. Steelback is in the sub position currently, so he hasn't left Fnatic. So he still has the potential to play for them. but I'm not sure. I mean, obviously Rekkles is in the starting chair right now, so we will see what happens. But thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me the time of day. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you like and share and subscribe to my channel. We'll be going over a couple more League videos here pretty soon. Might do some VOD review, so put in the comments what you want to see done. And thanks again, and you guys have a good day.